Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's me, Kenny Polker, your host of the party. And today I am at the beach once again. This is South Palm Beach. That's the ocean behind me. You look straight out, you're looking across to Europe. The sun is coming up. The day is absolutely gorgeous. Not a cloud in the sky. Well, there are clouds back there in the horizon, but there's nothing right above me, and that's what's really important. So what is it that we need to know today? Right, as we move into the last trading day of this week, and then there's just 5 more trading days until the end of the year. So on the who, right? Markets push higher, all while New York City, Chicago, and LA are going into their own self-imposed lockdown modes. Pfizer is on the verge of getting FDA approval for a new COVID drug, and that's exciting. Lots of economic data today, but none of it will mean anything to investors. And global markets are all trending higher, awaiting the arrival of Santa Claus. Will he come or won't he? And what are we having for dinner tonight? We're going to try the Christmas morning French toast casserole. So I'll get to that in a second, right? And so here we go. And we're off as the week comes to an end. Stocks moved higher for the second day in a row after all the fear-mongering surrounding Omicron virus that happened on Monday seems to have vanished. As fast as it surged, right? It came and it went. The Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq, and the Transits all tested trendline supports and held, and are now pushing to test the 2021 highs. The Dow tested its long-term 200-day moving average, while the S&P, Nasdaq, and Transits all tested their intermediate 100 days. The Russell, which has broken all 3 trend lines back in late November, is still struggling to come back, testing initially its first long-term trend line. By the end of the day yesterday, the Dow added another 260 points or 0.7%. The S&P up 48 points or 1%. The Nasdaq was up 180, 1.2%. The Russell up 20 points or 0.8%. And the transports ended the day flat. It is an interesting time, no less. The 10-year Treasury ended the day yielding 1.5%. This morning it's yielding 1.7%. And this happens as money moves out of the Treasury markets and into somewhere else, stocks or wherever. Remember, it's an inverse relationship. Yields go up when money comes out. Yields go down when money goes in. Oil, which they try to tell us is about to collapse. Think about the demand, the variant demand destruction story is also back trading in the mid-70s. This morning it's up 20 cents at $73 a barrel after testing as low as $63 a barrel only 2 weeks ago. It also broke all 3 trend lines last week, and in early December, it broke its long-term trend line amongst all the hysteria. And now it is back above, up and through all the long-term and intermediate term, and it's about to test its short-term trend line. And if it does, it's going to open the door to allow it to challenge the high seen in October of $80 a barrel. The VIX, which soared by 135% right after the Thanksgiving holiday to a high of 35, is now back at the trend line at 1850 as the fear surrounding the Omicron variant absolutely fades. New York City has once again gone into its new version of a lockdown mode, right? PCR testing lines are snaking through the city. Restaurants choosing to close until the new year. Everyone you know has COVID, and if they don't have it, they're just waiting to get it, right? And it's all keeping you in your apartment, all locked down. At-home tests tell you that you're negative in the morning, but then you can take the PCR test and you're positive by 2 p.m., leaving many confused and frustrated. What is good about all this is that it doesn't appear to be as dangerous as the original COVID-19 version. Remember, we now have vaccines, we got drugs, we got therapeutics. In fact, the FDA is about to bless the latest Pfizer COVID pill. And this is helping the underlying tone against Omni as well as in the markets, right? People are feeling once again more comfortable. And that's all good for now, right? Every sector yesterday was in the green. The value trade was up 0.6%. The growth trade rallied ahead by 1.4%. That makes sense because they've gotten beaten up. We saw strength in consumer discretionary. We saw it in tech. We saw it in healthcare, all gaining more than 1%, right? Followed by consumer staples, energy, utilities, and financials. They were all up about 0.7%. Industrials and communications lagged. They were gaining only about 0.2%. Economic data, right? We had a third quarter upward revision, right? They revised it up just a bit versus the expectation. So that came in at plus 2.3% versus what we thought was going to be plus 2.1%. That's a positive. Existing home sales rose 1.9% versus the expected 2.9%, but that's a little bit negative. But talk of higher rates in 22 starting to put a cap on sales and will mostly continue to do so in the new year, even as demand outstrips supply because the cost of owning a home is going to increase with any increase in rates. Rental rates are also surging to levels never seen before as rental property owners take advantage of demand and the shift that's going to slow the housing sales, right? Mortgage apps fell by 0.6%. Again, not a surprise. Probably time of year, probably because of housing prices, right, and rates. There's a lot of eco data out today, and that includes initial jobless claims, continuing claims, personal income, personal spending, durable goods ex transports, capital goods orders, capital goods shipped, and all while this is all out there, none of it is going to make a difference to anybody today or through the end of the week. It's the end of the year. People are away from the desk. No one is paying attention. This morning, U.S. futures are up again as we move into the final trading day of the week, right? At 7 o'clock this morning, Dow futures are up 120, the S&Ps are up 15, the Nasdaq's up 38, the Russell's up 17 points. The tone is positive, and that's good. Asian markets ended the day higher. European markets are also trending higher, all enjoying the company of buyers, right? It's the same story. Everyone is being told that the markets and investors can weather the latest Omicron storm. All the hysteria created in the past couple of weeks is nothing but a distant memory. The focus now on the end of the year window dressing, right? And that is what's happening. You're going to see it again next week. So you might see, certainly some interest in names that have really gotten beaten up. But it's the new year that's going to bring the concerns, right? The main theme in the new year is going to be directly on the Fed, on inflation rates, on interest rates, on global central policy and legislative agenda in D.C., and it's also the midterm elections in this country. Remember, it is an election year for Congress. We've already had 26 Democratic House members throwing in the towel and 8 Republican House members to spend time with their family. That's code for I'm getting the hell out of here. In the Senate, we've got 5 Republicans and 1 Democrat that will not return in January of 2023. Right? So let's see how many more of them abandon the ship before this is over. And that's going to be a subplot that plays throughout 3 quarters of 2022, right, as we move into November. The S&P closed at 46.96, just at the high of the day. And while futures are up again this morning, we could certainly test the resistance line at 47.19. Not the high of 47.50, just resistance, which is only about a 0.5 point advance from here, 0.5% advance from here. There's nothing more to say now other than Merry Christmas. Take care of yourself. It's time to buy the fish. You know that. Remember, you can text the word invest at 21,000 on your cell phone to get my digital business card delivered right to your cell phone. Feel free to reach out, email me, text me, give me a call. I'm always happy to discuss markets, planning, thoughts, concerns, ideas, anything that's on your mind. And I'm happy to do it right here on the beach, too, with the ocean in the background, because it could not get any more beautiful. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Kenny P, and on Instagram at Kenny P1961. So what are we having for Christmas morning breakfast? It's a Christmas morning French toast casserole. It's kind of a French toast, but it's really not. You prepare it the night before. You let it sit in the fridge overnight. You bake it versus frying it on the stove, right? And for this, you need a couple of things. And because it's kind of a specific recipe, I'm going to give you specific measurements so that you don't screw it up, right? So for this, you're going to need a loaf of either Italian bread or challah bread that you can buy in the store. You need 8 large eggs, 2 cups of whole milk, 1.5 cup of half and half, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. You can also put in crushed pecans or crushed walnuts. We'll get to that. For the syrup, you're going to need 3/4 cup of butter, 1 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and 3 tablespoons of light corn syrup. Now look, on the stove, you want to put it in a pot. You want to melt the butter. You want to add in the brown sugar and the corn syrup. Bring it to a boil. Stir it well. Make sure that the sugar is all melted, right? That it's all blended. Now you want to pour that into a 16 inch by 20 inch glass baking dish, making sure to cover the bottom of the dish with that whole thing. Next, you want to cut up the bread into squares, right? You cut off the crust if you want, but cut off the bread into squares. Lay it flat in the dish on top of the simple syrup. You make 2 layers of the bread so that it's nice and thick. Now blend the eggs, the milk, the half and half, the vanilla, the cinnamon, and pour it over the bread, making sure that you have enough to allow the bread to soak it all in, cover and refrigerate it overnight. Now here's where you can toss in the pecans. You can put some in with the simple syrup. You can put some on top, but you want to put pecans all over, right? In the morning, you want to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Then you want to put this in there and bake it in the oven uncovered for about 40 minutes. Keep your eyes on it. You don't want it to to burn, right? When it's done, remove it from the oven and let it sit for 5 minutes just so it sets, right? It cools down a little bit and it sets. Here's the trick. Now you want to get a large rectangular plate, place it on top of this baking dish, and in one motion, flip the dish over and allow the French toast to come out and sit on top of the plate. And now the syrup and brown sugar is going to be on the top when you serve it. It's going to look really delicious. And if you got the pecans in there too, the pecans are going to be nice and crusty all over the top of that, right? You're going to serve this with whatever else you're making for Christmas morning breakfast. You're going to have a cup of coffee. You're going to have orange juice. Maybe you're going to make eggs on the side, whether it's scrambled eggs or fried eggs, whatever you're going to make. But make this one of your key dishes on Christmas morning, because if you make it the night before, it takes nothing Christmas morning just to pop in the oven while you're opening presents and enjoying each other's company. In any event, it is a spectacular day here in South Florida, as you can see, and it's only going to get greater as the weekend comes. The weather's supposed to be perfect all through the weekend, so I look forward to that. In any event, until I see you, take good care.